Jackals TV is back on the air, and we have the first elimination game of the season for the Jackals as they take on the Shower Hogs here today in a game that will determine who will go through to the semifinals. The Jackals won their first playoff game in overtime, and the Shower Hogs lost their game. However, if the Shower Hogs win this game, they will advance past the Jackals on the tiebreaker. The Jackals, however, can advance by just getting this game into overtime. They can have an overtime loss and still advance, so they do have that luxury. But ideally, I think they would like to just come away with the win, take first place in their pool, and move on to the semifinals. To do that today, they'll have most of their lineup. They're only down one player. Daryl is on his annual pilgrimage to Disney World for the cheerleading championships and is unavailable to play here today. Other than that, the full roster will be here, 9 forwards and 5 defense. This will be the 5th matchup of the season between these two teams, and the record between the two teams so far, 2 wins and 2 losses each. So we do anticipate a close one here today. Let's head to the highlights. We're going to start this one off with the Jackals getting themselves in a bit of a trouble. Gary's going to push that puck up the middle. It's going to get knocked down by the Shower Hogs player, and he's going to get a shot up high, but either that went over the net or it caught Trevor in the shoulder. But here's a giveaway of their own by the Shower Hogs, and this puck by Chris Weidger goes to the front of the net, and then John gets a nice whack at the rebound, but that gets turned aside as well. A little bit later, you're going to see Bob throw this puck up the middle to Chris Duhar. It just goes through his stick and goes down for an icing, and that's going to be consequential because on the following face-off, this puck's going to go right to that winger who's going to step through Gary and Aaron and then around Trevor and slide it in, and the Hogs now have a 1-0 lead in this game. And the Hogs are looking for more. Here's a player in the corner. He's going to spin with the puck, and then that player kicks out high into the high slot, gets the pass, throws it on net. Trevor makes a save and then swats it to the corner. A little bit later, here's a pass up to Aaron Hogan. He's going to cross the line, look for that big slapper, but that defenseman steps up and then actually knocks him down. But Johnny picks up the puck, gets a good shot, and then the rebound comes and hops just over Chris Weidger's stick. Next up, we see the Hogs coming in with a shot from out high, and then that rebound gets picked up by, I believe that's Jer, and he gets checked from behind and pushed down as he's collecting that puck. So it's a power play for the Jackals. Jer with the big slap shot that gets knocked down by Chris Marshall. He sweeps it on net, save is made, and then the puck comes back out to him. Goes back to Bob, who throws it to the left side, and the goalie just gets his toe on it to the corner. So that power play is unsuccessful. A little bit later, here we see number 27 for the Hogs coming in, trying to go around Gary, who barely grabs him onto him, and he takes a big dive downwards. We'll show that because that's going to be a theme in this game with that player, number 27. So a little bit later, this puck gets past the defender at the blue line, so it's a 2-on-1 for the Hogs. They go in, take the shot, but the big glove by Trevor is going to keep this 1-0 going to the second period. And at the start of this period, we're going to see something similar that we saw at the end of that last period, where Bob pinches down, it gets put through his legs. That player for the Hogs races after it and chips it past Gary, goes in alone on the breakaway, goes to the backhand, but Trevor sticks with it and makes a save, and then makes a save there on the rebound at the short side. Jackals continue to press to try to get this game back even. There's Lloyd putting that puck towards the net, and it bounces back to him along the wall. And as he tries to put it along the wall, it bounces off the Shower Hogs player right to Chris Marshall at the ringette line, and he risks that quickly home past the unsuspecting and unready goaltender on the short side. And this game is now locked up at 1. An important score for the Jackals as they only need the tie to go to overtime. And they're going to get the opportunity to take the lead in this game as Rob picks up that loose puck at center, tries to go around the Shower Hogs player, who reaches out and trips him. So the Jackals are on the power play now. And here's John coming down the left side, gets a shot on net, retrieves the puck from the corner. And you see Chris Weidger get cross-checked in front, no penalty. He gets shoved again, no penalty again. And John picks up the loose puck, takes the backhand, but the goalie does make the save. So 2 opportunities for the Jackals to go up 5-on-3. Chris did look like he went down a little bit easy, but either way, no penalty call. So now here's Bob in trouble, trying to spin away from people, tries to shovel that puck behind the net. Instead, it hits the side of the net, and as Jer comes down to help, he gets cross-checked in the head and then makes a minor slash back on that player. Only Jer's going to get called, and he's going to get 4 minutes for that slash, despite having been cross-checked across the back there. So to the power play, the Shower Hogs go, and they get this nice little chance in front that's tipped towards the net, but it gets caught up in people's feet, or Trevor may have made the save there. Either way, it's kept out. There's a backhand shot, and he gobbles that up as well. And then there's a loose puck behind the net. They're going to step out front with it, take that shot there, but it gets deflected up high by Darwin and over the net. So Jackals kill that 4 minutes, and it's still 1-1. So here they come the other way. That puck gets thrown towards the net as the period's ending, and Chris Dietrich puts that off the post. So it remains 1-1 into the third period. Here we see number 27 up to his diving antics again as he's barely tied up with Chris Stuhar, and he takes a hard tumble to the ice, rolling like a tumbleweed towards the corner. No call again from the referee as they see through that. 27 coming in again, puts that shot on net, and then he goes hard to the net, runs into Darwin, who runs into Trevor, knocking the net and the goaltender off, putting his hands up in the air like he didn't do anything, even though he went rolling towards the net once again. This puck is going to end up along the far wall, and Jay's going to fight for it. But watch in front of the net. There's Gary. He gets speared by that player and then slashes him back. And strangely, the referee is only going to call that light spear from the Shower Hogs player. So the Jackals go to the power play. And here's Jared with another slap shot. It gets directed to the corner by the goaltender. Lloyd picks it up, throws it towards the net. Chris Marshall gets it, throws it on the backhand into the stomach of the goaltender, who covers it up. But the power play continues, and here's Gary Pablo coming through, splitting those two defenders, putting it back to Rob, who's going to slap it towards the net. It chips off the defender's stick and goes right to Chris Marshall, who sweeps it home with the backhand. And on the power play, the Jackals have given themselves a cushion and have a 2-1 lead in this game. And that's a cushion they're going to need almost immediately, as about a minute and a half later, the Hogs are going to work this puck around and eventually throw it to the front of the net, and it's going to rattle around in between Trevor's pads, and 91 thinks it's in, but it's not. It's still sitting there. Bob pushes it back off the line into Trevor's feet. It bounces off of his goal pad and back towards the line, and that other player who's standing there sweeps it in. So it's now 2-2, and we're going to move ahead a little bit later. Gary's going to pick that puck up, beat the defender, and then pull it around the goalie on the rebound and put it what looks to be in the net. Aaron is celebrating just like 91 did just before, but it actually hits the post and stays out, so it remains 2-2. So with time winding down in this game, it's still 2-2, and the Hogs need to win in regulation, so they pull the goalie with the game tied, and there's just chaos all over the ice. Chris Stuhar dropped his stick. Rob gets knocked down there. There's going to be puck battles all over the place, people blocking pucks, people sliding in, gloving things down, tripping over players, knocking players down. It's utter chaos. The camera can't keep up with it. And when it finally catches back up, there's 4 players involved in a melee there. Chris Stuhar and Gary Pablo are both locked up with Hogs players. Chris Stuhar is going to make this number 27, who's been a thorn in everyone's side all day, diving around, and he's going to make him smell the glove here, and it's going to ultimately result in all 4 of those players getting roughing penalties and being taken out of the game. And we still have to get through a couple more minutes of this game to figure out what is going to happen ultimately. So here they are, Hogs with 6 players on the ice in the tie game, and they're going to get that shot just wide. It's going to go back to this Hogs player is going to put it down low behind the net. Jackals trying to keep the front of the net covered up, and it's going to come out to this point guy who tries to throw it towards the net, and it gets blocked, and Johnny gets it, and he goes for the empty net, and that's a risky play with only 10 seconds left, and he misses the net, and so it's an icing. So another chance for the Hogs, and they get a great opportunity after winning that draw, but it gets deflected away as John makes up for the icing by racing out there to deflect that excellent scoring chance harmlessly to the end. So the Jackals will advance, but we still do have to do overtime to see who's going to win this game. Inconsequential either way. Here's a Hogs player who's trying to go one-on-one with Bob. It gets deflected out, and then it gets passed up to Rob, who's going to slow down so some Jackals players can catch up. Bob goes in the net, pulls 2 players with him. That leaves this opportunity for Aaron to walk in alone to win the game, but he misses on the glove hand side. So a little bit later, still going, here's Gary on the right side. He's going to try and cut across. He's going to delay with it and make a neat little backhand pass to Johnny, and he goes in, gets 2 cracks at it, but it still stays out. So we're still tied, game's still going on. Like I said, doesn't matter who wins, but it'll be fun for the Jackals to win this game against the Hogs, an old rival. That puck gets blocked, and so here come the Hogs the other way, and they're going to delay, and as this player waits for the change to happen, he gives the puck away to Johnny, who's in alone and looking to end it, and it's a save. But he picks up this rebound after the goalie chops it over the defenseman's stick, and then he slides it home, and the Jackals do get that overtime win. So they have 2 overtime wins so far here in the playoffs, and will be advancing off to the semifinals. So a couple of exciting games so far in the playoffs for the Jackals. Let's have a look at how these stats went for this day. There you see a huge game from Chris Marshall, 2 goals, and then John with a goal in overtime, both of them with 7 shots and 8 shots respectively. So they were both all over the ice in this game and helping contribute to the Jackals advancing to the semifinals. Let's have a look at the playoff stats so far. Chris Marshall having a monster playoff season. He's the John Druce of this team. 4 goals and 1 assist thus far in the playoffs. So the Jackals will finish first in their pool. Let's have a look and see who they play. They will play the winner of the Red Rockets Minnesota Nighthawks game. So as you can see there, the Nighthawks with a 4-2 victory. So they'll be taking on old foe, the Minnesota Nighthawks. That's a team the Jackals have played maybe 20 times in the last 3 years. A lot of hockey against that team. And there you see, there's the schedule. The semifinals, Jackals versus Nighthawks and Vipers versus Blades. And then the winners will take each other on Sunday in the championship final. Before we go off the air, let's show some post-game shenanigans. Here's Gary speaking to the Hogs players that are at center before he goes off on his skate. And as he comes around again, you can see them gesturing towards him. And Gary's going to do some diving motions. And Rob comes in to keep the peace. And that's it for this game. We'll see you at the semifinals.